Before we begin, I want to be very clear about what this video is and what it is not. This is not a video designed to provoke fear, nor is it meant to romanticize suffering, darkness, or trauma. We are not here to sensationalize the dark goddesses, and we are not here to invoke them, summon them, or perform magic in a way that opens doors we may not yet be prepared to walk through. This video is about understanding. It is about remembering why human beings have always honored forces that govern death, endings, rage, grief, transformation, sovereignty, and truth. And it is about reclaiming a relationship with these powers that is ethical, grounded, and mature, especially for those who are new to the magical arts. The dark goddesses do not need belief. They do not need worship. They do not need theatrics. What they require, what they have always required, is honesty. So as we move through this video, I invite you to listen not for what excites you, but for what feels familiar. Not for what you want to claim, but for what you already recognize. You are here to learn, not to summon. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern spirituality is the idea that dark means evil. Historically, dark meant unknown. It meant hidden. It meant subterranean, nocturnal, cyclical, gestational. Darkness was the womb, the grave, the cave, the seed beneath the soil. Darkness was where things changed. The dark goddesses were never villains. They were necessary. They governed the parts of life that could not be controlled, prettified, or made safe. Birth and death, blood and sex, rage and grief, fate and consequence. The moment when something must end, whether we are ready or not. As patriarchal and colonial systems rose, these powers became inconvenient. A feminine force that could destroy, refuse, withdraw, or demand accountability was dangerous to systems built on obedience and extraction. So the dark goddesses were demonized, distorted, or erased, or split into acceptable and unacceptable halves. They would study them academically, for instance, without identifying how these energies are actually embodied within each of us. What remained was a spiritual culture obsessed with light, positivity, transcendence, and healing, but deeply uncomfortable with truth or with pain. And yet, the dark goddesses never left. They continued to appear in our lives as experiences rather than myths, as divorces, as illnesses, as grief, as sudden clarity, as moments when we could no longer pretend. You do not meet the dark goddess first in ritual, you meet her in life. If there is one story that explains the dark goddesses more clearly than any other, it is the descent of Inanna. Inanna is the queen of heaven and earth. She is radiant, adorned, powerful, worshipped, and yet she chooses to descend into the underworld, not because she is weak, but because something in her life demands transformation. At each gate of the underworld, she is asked to remove a symbol of her power, a crown, a necklace, a garment, not because she is being punished, but because she cannot bring her former identity into the realm she is entering. By the time she reaches the throne of her sister, Erishkigal, she is naked, stripped, unprotected, and there she dies. This is initiation, not self-improvement, not manifestation, not ascension. Initiation is the death of who you were so that something truer can take form. Inanna's story teaches us something essential. Descent is not failure. Loss is not proof that we did something wrong. Sometimes power can only be reclaimed after illusion is destroyed. Many people encounter the dark goddesses because something has already been stripped from them. A relationship, an identity, a belief, a future they thought was guaranteed. The dark goddess does not cause these losses. She presides over the transformation that follows. Now, I want to introduce you to 9 dark goddesses, not exhaustively, not academically, but as presences, each governing a different facet of necessary darkness. I want you to notice which ones feel familiar and which ones unsettle you. Both responses are meaningful. This is the most important part of this video. Honoring the dark goddesses does not mean invoking them. It does not mean calling them into your space, performing rituals you do not yet understand, or adopting an aesthetic of darkness. Honoring them means living in a way that aligns with their principles. You honor them when you end things cleanly instead of dragging them out. You honor them when you speak the truth instead of managing perception. You honor them when you allow grief to exist without fixing it. You honor them when you say no without apology. You honor them when you stop abandoning yourself for safety, approval, or comfort. Many dark goddesses do not respond kindly to casual invocation, not because they are cruel, but because they are precise. They deal in consequence. Respect, maturity, and self-awareness are the first offerings. If you feel drawn to a dark goddess, that does not mean you should call to her. It often means you should listen to what is already happening in your life, because what shows up, especially repetitively or cyclically, is what you are being called to listen to understand, to honor, and, when possible, to heal. The dark goddesses, once you have done that work, can show you the way forward. At this point, I want you to reflect quietly. Which goddess felt familiar? Which one made you uncomfortable? Where in your life are you standing at a threshold? What truth are you circling but not yet willing to name? Discomfort does not mean danger. Often it means recognition. The dark goddesses are not interested in fear. They are interested in honesty. Each of you actually has a pathway to discovering some of your own dark goddess workings. There are clues hidden within your natal chart. In Pluto, you find clues to beginning your work with Persephone. In Black Moon Lilith, your clues to beginning your work with Lilith. This video is not meant to make you an expert. It is meant to orient you. The dark goddesses are not trends, aesthetics, or shortcuts to power. They are ancient forces that meet us when we are ready or when we have no choice but to be. If something stirred in you today, there is more to learn, more context, more responsibility, more depth. That path is not rushed, and it is not walked alone. Through Divinely Designed, there are opportunities to study these energies more deeply through astrology, tarot, Reiki, ritual, and community. at a pace that honors your readiness and your integrity. For now, your only work is this. Name one truth you are no longer willing to ignore. That is enough. And that is how the dark goddesses are honored.